Guys, welcome back to my little mini guide on the starting classes of Dark Souls 1. My name is Rob, and today we're going to be talking about the Sorcerer, which is a sorcerer of Vinheim Dragon School, casts soul sorceries. I mean, what else do you want to know? It's a sorcerer. You want to shoot laser beams with a magic stick? This is the starting class for you. So let's dive right into talking about the stats. At 8 Vitality, that is the lowest of any of the starting classes, so the Sorcerer, definitely very squishy. But of course, as a Sorcerer, you don't need Strength or Endurance or any of those things. You've got blue laser beams. Right? Yeah. So the Sorcerer actually starts off with some really, the best stats for spellcasting, obviously. With 15 attunement, you've got 3 attunement slots, and for only one more point, for 16 attunement, you have 4. Not all that necessary very early in the game, but hey, it's there. It's something you don't have to worry about for a while. And with 15 intelligence, you can definitely cast the vast majority of the early game sorceries that you can get. And for one more point at 16 intelligence, you can cast Dark Bead, which you'd get in the DLC. You won't be able to get it early in the game, but I'm just saying, like, you can cast really decent sorceries with, not having to invest a whole lot. But if you're going to be a sorcerer, you want to prioritize intelligence because you want to zap the biggest and baddest lasers that you can get, and you also want to raise your attunement so that you can, equip plenty of them. You start off with 9 strength, which isn't much at all, 8 endurance, which isn't much at all, and 11 dex. So you've got enough to use things like a short bow if you put 1 point into dexterity, and it doesn't take, you can put a few points here and there in strength and dex and be able to use some basic weapons like the long sword or even a hand axe or reinforced club. The dagger, it's like it's not as good as the bandit knife. It has that nice critical damage modifier, but it doesn't do any bleed damage. So that's, the dagger isn't something you're going to want to rely on heavily. Maybe keep it as, something you can do for critical damage. If you're only fighting one enemy that manages to get close to you, you can hold up your shield, circle around, and backstab them. And then for anything else, you want to be using your soul sorceries. 8 faith. What are you doing even thinking about faith with a sorcerer? No. Sorcerers are not the religious types. They're not going to be wanting to cast any miracles or any some such things. You want to cast laser beams. Do you hear me? Blue laser beams. So let's jump in here and see what we can do with our blue laser beams early on. Alright, so besides shooting blue laser beams right out the gate, some other things to note about the Sorcerer is even though Sorcerer only starts with 8 endurance, all of the starting equipment for the Sorcerer is so light that you can be fully equipped and fast roll. You've got 30 charges of Soul Arrow, so that's 30 times you can pop an enemy with a blue laser beam. So, what do you want to level up to start off with the Sorcerer? Probably Vitality and Endurance, because they're both incredibly low. Maybe a point or 2 into Strength, so that you can use, some other items besides, some other weapons besides just a regular dagger. Because while the dagger does have a nice crit modifier of 131, that's almost as much as the crit modifier of the bandit's knife. It does very low base physical damage at 56 with only a +4 scaling from dex. And it doesn't do any crazy things like bleed damage or anything like that. The small leather shield is a small leather shield. Exactly what it says. 80% physical damage reduction. It has decent fire and lightning damage resistance, but only 40 stability. That is not very much at all. This is really not a great shield for blocking, but it's only half a unit of weight, 0.5, so it's extremely light to offset the poor damage reductions. Has regular parry animation of a medium shield, so it does not have the added parry frames of the target shield like the Thief starting shield has. But still not a bad shield for, using as a parry tool by any means. Now, of course, the thing that I think you should do starting off with, before you even worry about leveling up, of course, I've shown y'all the run through the graveyard for the extra soul items. I'll go ahead and demonstrate that again. And of course, no matter what character you start with, get these homeward bones. There is never a time where a homeward bone will not be useful. Alrighty. Gonna run over here and grab this soul of a nameless schmuck who was forgotten. Just roll on past these skelly boys. I'm not gonna bother going after these Zweihander or the winged spear. If you want to use those weapons starting off early, then I would say choose a different starting class. Alright, so with those two soul items, let's see, we got a couple more over here. Let's go ahead and get the soul arrows out. You always want to lock on when you're using sorceries, because it's difficult to free aim these things, and they do have a bit of a homing element to them. There we go. Let's wait for him to drop down. Pew pew. That one's going to need two of them to do him in. That fellow up there with the fire bombs, we're going to deal with him accordingly. He wants to throw fire bombs at us, we're going to throw magic at him. How do you like that? And I'll just backstab this guy, because I can. Alright, let's bait this guy into coming down the stairs. If you stand at the base of the stairs, a lot of times he'll do that, so be careful. There we go. Grab this soul of a lost undead. Roll back down here and grab this soul item. If you're wondering about that item over there in the distance, that is a ring of sacrifice. I'll go ahead and demonstrate how to get that. I have my jump button mapped to the left stick, so as I'm running I can click the left stick in and it does jump. Originally you could not change the controls on jumping in the original Dark Souls. You'd have to hold down circle and then rapidly tap it. With the jump mapped to L3, when I rapidly tap circle while running, it'll just do a roll. This is the objectively superior control layout for jumping. You just jump across that gap right there. Carefully cross over here. And what you get here is a ring of sacrifice, and that is very useful if you are wandering around with a bunch of souls and you don't know where your next bonfire is and you don't know if you're going to make it out alive. Slap that bad boy on there, and that way if you die, you won't lose your souls, you'll keep them. So it basically just warps you back to the bonfire, and there you go. Only caveat with the rings of sacrifice is once you have died while wearing one, it shatters, so you only get to use it once. Anyway, having grabbed all those soul items, let's run down here to New Londo. Alright, come on over around here and just drop down this little ledge here and grab that Soul of a Nameless Soldier. That's going to be the biggest soul item in our inventory that gives us 800 souls once we pop it. And you want to come on down here to Rickert of Vinheim. Now remember, he sells a couple of elementary sorceries, so let's talk to him, let him get the Gavin out of his system. Purchase item. You can buy Heavy Soul Arrow, which you need 12 intelligence to use. We already have that much intelligence, and you'll only need 1 attunement slot. So if you want to farm for the souls to get it for 4,000, definitely. But if you buy another soul arrow for 2,000 souls,
come back soon.
You can attune that, and right away you have 2 stacks of 30 soul arrows, which will give you 60. So immediately you have more. That's more ammunition for your rifle, man. That's exactly what you want with the Sorcerer. So let me pop all of these soul items and see what I have left. I don't know why I climbed up here before doing that. I don't know if it'll be enough to buy a heavy soul arrow. It might... Nah, it won't be. But even so, if you want to do a little farming until you can get heavy soul arrow, it's only got like... I want to say... Let's look at it again, and I'll tell you exactly how many uses it's got. Let's see here. Purchase item. 12 uses. You get 12 shots with heavy soul arrows. So basically it's a stronger, slower to cast soul arrow. Maybe attune it if you're going to go into a boss fight or something like that. Use it with bosses, because it does more damage. But for just general, like running around an area, if you've got 2 stacks of soul arrow equipped, you have plenty of ammunition to get you through pretty much the whole starting area. I don't see... I mean, I'm not really much of a sorcerer type of guy. Not that it's a bad starting class at all. It's a very good starting class, actually. Like, people will tell you, like, if you ask, like, what type of character should I start as, people tend to lump sorcerer in with, like, thief and stuff like that, because you don't start off with a good weapon or anything like that. But sorcery can very easily be made into this game's easy mode. At least until you get further on, like into the DLC and stuff like that. In the early game, sorcery is easy mode. Alright, look at there. 60 soul arrows. And you can just run through the game and go to town. Other stuff you might want to look into leveling up, like I said. Vitality Endurance, that's not a bad idea at all. A little more strength, 12. Will get you going. That'll let you, one hand pretty much any early weapons you find, except for some of the heavier ones like the halberd or the claymore, or especially the Zweihander. But yeah, you can always start pumping intelligence early to get more damage out of your spells. Look over here at the Sorcerer's Catalyst. As I level up the intelligence, you look at the magic adjust, and that's like basically how much damage you'll do with that particular catalyst. And as I level it up, you immediately get really decent returns. If you level it up from 15 to 18, that's just 3 levels. Your magic adjust goes from 114 to 130. That's already a pretty big jump. The catalysts, like talismans or the wooden catalyst, you don't upgrade them in Dark Souls 1. They are not upgradable. So what ends up happening is you tend to get really good returns from leveling them up just a few times. So actually, let me demonstrate that. Trying to leave the bonfire here. Okay. Let me come over here and cast a soul arrow at this regular hollow guy. Alright, we're locked onto him. He's not holding up his shield. 82, which was plenty of damage to kill him in one hit. Alright. So let's do a little testing here. Let's bump my intelligence on up to... Oh, now I can bump it up to 19. Which will give me 136 magic adjust. So let's compare the damage just from a few levels thrown into intelligence. I'm curious. I've never actually tested this. Let's see here. Whoop. from 92 or 82, however much it was, to 104. So yeah, and that's the most basic sorcery in the game. Yeah. If you want to go through Dark Souls hurling spells and whatnot, don't let anybody discourage you. Just know that if you start with the Sorcerer, you're going to suck at melee. And it's a great idea to go ahead and buy the Heater Shield once you get to the Undead Berg. That way you have a really light shield that will give you 100% damage reduction while still, while also having like really decent stability. And it's light. It's very lightweight. So there you go. There's my little opening tutorial for starting as the Sorcerer. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. Hope you enjoy blue laser beams if you're going to be a Sorcerer. Yeah. Look how pretty I am. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you soon with the next character on the list, starting classes for Dark Souls 1. And until then, y'all take care.